All right, guys. Thank you for joining Word of the Day Wednesdays. I am author Nicole D. Miller of my debut novel, When Love Wins. When Love Wins is an urban Christian fiction story depicting two young female cousins with a rift in their relationship. When Natalie, the faith-based social justice advocate writer, loses her mom, she moves in with her cousin Ashley in hopes of healing from grief. But instead of a warm welcome, she receives an icy cold one from Ashley. Is there more to the story? Of course there is. Check out When Love Wins at whenlovewins.love. All right, let's get started. So every week, you guys know, I piggyback off of my latest blog. The blog this week is God is Left-Handed. I know I was a little late with publishing it. I normally publish my blogs on Mondays, but I was traveling, and you may have seen some pics of me and my cool goddaughter, PJ. We went to visit friends who are more like family in Dallas, so we were in the D. So I wasn't able to get that blog out Monday, but I did release it yesterday. So God is Left-Handed was inspired by an experience I'm having right now, you guys. So when I was younger, my mother would tell me that I used to write with both hands. And when they discovered this, when my parents discovered this, they made me choose a hand to write with. So I chose my right hand, probably because I was watching them and they were right-handed and I wanted to fit in. So the interesting thing is, when I learned to drive, I drove with 2 feet. And I didn't know that that was different. I don't know if you guys experienced this. But again, after a few months of me driving like that, when my mom found out, she was like, girl, you supposed to drive with 1 foot. And I'm like, well, nobody ever told me that. So I hurried to conform and I drove with 1 foot, my right foot. The thing is, recently I felt led to reread this book called Healing the Father Wound by Kathy Rodriguez. I think that's her last name. And she's a clinical psychologist, and she's talking about, healing from trauma from your father or an absent father. One of the things she has you do is she has you answer the questions and talk about childhood memories with your dad to do it with your non-dominant hand. And the thing about it is, I've always hated my handwriting, you guys, like always. It's similar to my mom's, but hers was neater. And so as I'm reading this book and she's telling us to do this prompt, as soon as I put the pen in my left hand, I know God is saying, Nicole, you'll write better with your left hand. And then I'm like, what? And it was wild because my mom told me that when I was younger, I used to write with both hands. And I felt led to give myself a 30-day challenge to write. And I should have grabbed my notebook so you guys could see. Actually, I'm going to grab my notebook. Hold on. Okay. I got my notebook that I'm writing in. So I felt led to do a 30-day challenge because I feel like God said, you'll see progress in 30 days. And at first I was like, well, what am I going to write? But then I was having flashbacks of when we were kids in school. And I don't know what these kids are doing nowadays because I don't have little kids. And I know they don't do cursive and they type everything. So I don't know. But when we were younger and they had those composition journals and you would have the ABCs across the rows, that's what I felt like God was reminding me of. So this looks really bad, you guys. So this is day 1. I don't know if you can see. This is day 1. So of course it's backwards. But it's super squiggly. And hey, Tracy, it's super squiggly. It just looks like a kid is writing, right? But it was such a supernatural experience. I felt very much like a child. And I felt humbled. And it was this holy experience, a supernatural experience. But the wild thing is, the day that I wrote this blog, God is Left-Handed, was day 7 of my little practice or whatever. And again, it's backwards. You can't really see the words. But it's super clean and neat. And that's only day 7. I was like, what? Crazy. And then I had more confirmation about being ambidextrous, which is what I talk about in the blog. Now, the minister who was sharing this word about being ambidextrous, she was talking about like us being able to do multitask and do multiple things for God. But what I knew God was saying was literally, Nicole, you're supposed to be ambidextrous. I was like, this is crazy. And so even in the blog, I talk about how I always had this view of left-handed people. I always viewed them as being abnormal. I'm sorry for you guys who are watching that are left-handed, like no shade. But I'm just being honest. I always view them as being abnormal. And so I took pride. It was subtle. I feel like pride is always subtle. But I took pride in being right-handed because I fit in, right? I conformed. So that's what I talk about in the blog, is how much do we conform and stunt and hinder our innate brilliance by trying to adhere to society's rules. And, you know, I don't blame my family or my parents at all. They were just going off of what they were taught, you know. But what I realized is we are stunting ourselves. We are stunting our own greatness. And so when I was doing research, it was talking about how when you're left-handed, you use the right hemisphere of your brain. When you're right-handed, you use the left-hand hemisphere of your brain. So, of course, okay, Nikki B. So when you're using both your hands, you're using more of your brain. So God was just showing me, like, you're hindering even your own usage of your brain. And one of the things my friend told me is that left-handed people, they get to learn, like they learn how to navigate their right side. Nikki B, would you say you've learned how to navigate your right hand? Because my friend was saying in the world it's made for right-handed people, and that was something I never thought about. But like now that I'm thinking about it, I feel like my coffee mugs are made for left-handed people. And now I kind of want to go get a coffee mug so you guys can see. Because I feel like the words are like facing me when I'm holding like this. But if I'm holding it like this, it's facing outward. I don't know. I could be making that up. Maybe that was just one coffee mug. I don't know. But she was just saying like left-handed people have the benefit because they do have to try to use their right hand for certain things because our world is made for right-handed people. Long story short, in the blog, I'm encouraging you to sit, meditate, listen, and hear what God is saying to you about ways that you have limited your own brilliance, like restrictions that have been put on you because of false beliefs, right? Especially when trying to conform to the world and look like everybody else. All right, so that's the word I got. If you guys like it, check it out at NicoleDMiller.com. As of right now, I do not have any events coming up, but I am excited because we have some things in the making for Girl Talk. I'm also in the midst of publishing our new author. I will leave that a secret until it's time, but maybe I'll let you guys know the author name and you can check her out. So Dr. Shamara Hutchins is releasing her debut memoir. We're going to be seeing more of her in the next coming months, especially with Indie Miller Publishing's platform. And I have a few other ghostwriting projects that are brewing. So I'm definitely staying busy. You guys know I have my goddaughter, and so I'm experiencing parenting. I've never, ever, ever been a parent other than my cute cat, BJ. And so now I'm like a full-blown parent. So traveling with her was interesting because I'm just used to it just being me. But my mind was like, okay, I got to navigate her and navigate me. And so even as I'm like pulling all of our stuff down, you know, the security belt and all of that, in my mind, I'm like, how can you do this with more than two people? And she's like a half of an adult. Like she's almost an adult. Anyways, shout out to the super moms, okay? And that goes back to our last Girl Talk. Doing it all. These women doing it all. It's like hats off. All right, guys, I'm going to let you go. I'm like trying to recoup from that trip, and I'm coming down with a cold, so I'm taking it like easy and being low key, or trying to anyway. So, but make sure you check out the blog, like, save, share, and subscribe, and I will see you next week for Word of the Day Wednesdays.